Hi there. I'd like to introduce everyone to my yellow Watchman Goby, also known as a prawn goby. We call this guy Froggy. If you look at his face, his eyes, his underslung mouth, it's pretty obvious the reasons why he'd earned a name like that. He's pretty much likes to think he's the king of the reef aquarium. He occupies a 50-gallon reef. He likes to stick around in the middle section of that tank. He'll hover with his body at a slanted angle, his tail downward, and use his strong, large pectoral fins to remain aloft. He'll pick morsels of food out of the water, and you'll notice how his ventral fins are fused together. Some folks consider that like a suction cup to help them retain their footing when they're anchored on the bottom, like he is here now. You see the blue dots on the side of his gill plate and face. They like to sit in sand, sift and pick mouthfuls of sand up or gravel, sift them for pods and little bits of food, and then let the gravel morsels go through the gills. For that reason, you might want to have a finer gravel or substrate in your aquarium if you choose to keep these interesting fish. He'll also often create piles or mounds of sand throughout the tank, so you can tell the little spaces that he occupies based upon the locations of those sand piles. Now the color will range from a white or cream to a greenish to orange. In this video sequence, it will also depend upon the lighting and the camera settings. I've recently added a second Watchman Goby, which some folks will advise against due to their territorial nature. But you'll see a little fight sequence coming up, and they seem to be tolerating one another, if not exactly getting along. They've got very large pectoral fins, and you can see them here fanned out on either side of the body, and he'll use this to help him maintain stability in the tank, which has decent current. He's got a split dorsal fin, down his back, and again the fused pelvic fins help provide a foot or a standing platform that help them maintain stability, because they'll typically occupy the bottom portion of the aquarium. That's just the area that they inhabit. So for feeding, you want to make sure you have some kind of a sinking pellet or food that will get down to the location where they live or occupy in the tank. Make no mistake, this guy will swim around in the water column freely quite regularly. If I drop frozen, thawed out frozen food or live brine shrimp in, he'll come through and certainly get his share of the food. But you certainly want to consider that when it comes time to feeding, particularly if the other fish are a little more aggressive at or near the surface of the tank. Now I've got the initial fight sequence coming up, where the new Watchman Goby was introduced, and you're going to see how that plays out. I'll also talk about the symbiotic relationship these folks develop. All right, here's a fight sequence. Quite interesting how they open their mouth, flare the gills, and here it is in slow motion for an instant replay. Trying to look as menacing and as daunting as possible with the new addition. The new Watchman Goby is the lighter colored one that's going to tear off here to the right side of the screen. The clown looks to be reffing in this little interaction. All right, back to normal speed. Kind of like the chase scene. And I realized there was a possible risk of introducing a second goby, particularly into a smaller tank. I'm going to watch these guys very closely and see how they do. Some folks will say the white ones are the females. My opinion as a jury is still out on that. I've also seen postings where some say their Watchman Goby has changed colors from the greenish yellow to the white. So we'll see how things work out here over time. This guy's definitely showboating now. He might be doing his display or territory display colors. If it is a female, he might be showing off. course, we're assuming that the yellow one is the male, and could be wrong there. So needless to say, the new addition kind of laid low the first few days after having been added into this aquarium, into this community. Here they're still going at it. This was the same day of being introduced. So a lot of chasing, a lot of fin and mouth flaring going on. Hoping for some harmony. And it seems like they've eased off a bit. And typically they'll establish their territories. And it helps if the tank is divided up with rock work. Here it is, the new one just darted into the Kenya tree. There's the Recordia coral, the orange coral in the foreground, looks a little bit like an anemone. And here's Froggy again. Just look at the interesting setup of that lower fin there. He's constantly swimming against the current, using all his fins to stay aloft and hover several inches above the gravel. And then he'll just drop back down and just set himself upon the bottom. And here, Toady, we've chosen to name the new one Toady, Froggy and Toady, is picking up mouthfuls of gravel, doing that Watchman Goby thing. It's shown interest in eating brine shrimp, keeping a watchful eye. I want to make sure that the new one doesn't feel threatened or doesn't get bullied, which is always a possibility. Now, I did mention that another name for the yellow Watchman Goby is the yellow prawn goby. Prawn is another name for shrimp, and these fascinating fish can form bonds or relationships with snapping shrimp in the home aquarium. Snapping shrimp of their own are very fascinating creatures, very attractive and colorful and tiny. What will happen is the fish and the shrimp will form a relationship where the shrimp will hollow out and create a tunnel within which the two live together. Meanwhile, the fish will provide for the shrimp protection. The shrimp is blind and will keep its feelers constantly on the flanks of the fish. The fish detects danger, it will shake, alerting the blind shrimp that there's danger, and it will retreat into its tunnel. There are plenty of videos out there online you can check out, and if I do happen to get a snapping shrimp that creates a relationship, I'm certainly going to be sure to post an update. Thanks very much for watching. Take care.